Untold Stories.
Hey guys, I'm AllisonAlanna. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now so that you will not miss any of the episodes of these story times. This is going to be a complete marathon, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always tuning in. Randy had chased Talkwin around for so many years that she thought by the time they got together, he would be like head over heels with her. But it seems like since the chase was over, Randy had another plan. You see, Randy came into this thing with complete deception. Randy did not have a pure heart. Randy did not have Talkwin's best interest at heart in any way, form, or circumstance. Randy decided that not only was he going to mess around with his child's mother, but he also decided that he wouldn't tell Talkwin that he had an entire girlfriend. So there's the child's mother and there is the girlfriend. The child's mother's name is Beulah and the girlfriend's name is Sandy. Okay? So he's juggling Beulah and he's juggling Sandy. And at the time, Talkwin didn't think that he was in a relationship because of how far he had went with her, and it just didn't seem like a man that was in a relationship would be over another woman's house spending this much time with her. But Randy was juggling all of them, you see, because Beulah lived right down the street and so did Sandy. So it wasn't hard for him to just hop from home to home to home to home and wherever else he was going, because Randy was the king of deception. It didn't take long for Talkwin to start realizing that something was off with Randy. Talkwin would call his phone and he would not answer as much as he would before. A lot of times he would take hours to return her phone call. He disappeared. He would just show up to her home at random times hours later and act like nothing ever happened. When Talkwin would question him about why he wasn't answering the phone, why he was not returning her calls in a given amount of time, he would always say it was because he was working. He would say he was working, he was busy, and he just wasn't able to take the call. But he's here now, so she should just, take the moment and be happy. But Talkwin always had an instinct that something was just a little off with it. So Talkwin, being who she was, she decided to start kind of looking around to see what was going on. Now, remember how I told you that on the night of Talkwin's birthday, Talkwin drove Randy's truck to go out for her birthday festivities, and Talkwin went looking for him in the hood that she knows that he would always be in? That night when Talkwin went and looked for him, she noticed a young woman walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk of their hood. And when she saw the young woman was signaling her. And she was looking at the young woman in a little bit of confusion because she didn't know the woman, but then she remembered that she was driving Randy's vehicle. So the woman clearly was trying to alert Randy and not her, right? So she wanted to say something to the woman, but she decided not to. She just kind of slowed down and was kind of looking at the woman, and the woman just kept on trying to fan her down. But again, she was really, in reality, trying to fan down Randy. Randy had really heavy tents on the truck, so the woman could not see in the truck and was not aware that she was talking to someone else. Had Talkwin stopped and talked to that lady that night, she would have realized, maybe she could have said, oh, who are you? I'll let my boyfriend know that you were saying hello, or something along those lines. However, she didn't stop to speak to the lady. But this woman happened to be Sandy. So you see, the flags were always arising. It's just that Talkwin didn't know who these people were. Because Talkwin wasn't a girl who was always in the mix. She kind of was like real pretty with her feet up, laid back, not really wanting to be on the street, you know, doing all of the things that was happening in this particular area. So Talkwin starts to look around. She's seeing weird numbers in the phone. She's noticing things that just seem a little off for a guy in a relationship. And Talkwin loved quality time. So the fact that the quality time was kind of spread thin, you know, it just kind of caused Talkwin to look a little further. She started to gather information, but very subtly. So she asked him what was his child's mother name. He said Beulah. And by having her name, she kind of looked around, saw some things, figured some things out, and found out where Beulah lived. So she discovered where Beulah lived, and she started to kind of try to, you know, think about if she should kind of maybe just drive by and see if the car was there, just to kind of put two and two together of where his time was being spent. Because it just didn't seem that he was just like always at work, you know. The relationship continues, and one day Randy goes out of town for work, because Randy had a job that he would travel all over the United States to work. When Talkwin was snooping around to figure out if Randy may have been seeing someone else, because he just seemed to be a little distant than usual, she found Sandy's information in his phone. And she questioned him about Sandy, and he kind of just made it seem like Sandy was like an ex. They were no longer together, and, you know, it was nothing to really consider. But in reality, they were really still in a relationship. So Randy goes out of town for work, and Randy calls Talkwin while Talkwin is at the nail salon. And Talkwin steps out because it's sounding kind of urgent, and he informs Talkwin that the woman that remember the woman you found in my phone, said Randy. Yes, said Talkwin. She just called me and said that she's pregnant. So Sandy is pregnant, and Talkwin is pissed. Talkwin was like, I don't even know why you're telling me this. I don't care. What does this have to do with me? And Randy says it has everything to do with us, because we're together and we can work through this together. But Talkwin is upset. Talkwin is angry. Talkwin is like not really trying to hear it, because coincidentally, it's almost like Talkwin's intuition had already told her that someone was pregnant, because Talkwin had asked Randy randomly one night when they were together in bed, did you do anything? Do you have a woman pregnant? Randomly, it just became a thought in Talkwin's mind. And Randy's eyes flew open in shock, in horror, in terror, almost as if, how did Talkwin know this? And he assured her no one was pregnant, everything was fine, and they were good. So Talkwin questioned, how long did he know this? Was he already full aware? Did he already know that Sandy was pregnant? Because why did she have that flowing in her intuition? Why did he look so startled when questioned about a possible pregnancy? But Randy swore up and down that was the very moment that he had found out, and that he called Talkwin immediately to tell her. Talkwin was angry and told him to F off and hung up the phone. Later that day, she called him back and they talked, and he assured her that he would continue the relationship with her, and that Sandy was a thing of the past. That Sandy was a thing of the past, and as soon as he got back from his work trip, he would be right there to hold his beautiful Talkwin in his arms. And that's exactly what he did. When Randy got back from the work trip, Randy came immediately to Talkwin's home. He stayed there endlessly. He did not leave. He wanted to prove to her that there was nothing going on with anybody. And he stayed literally inside with Talkwin for 2 weeks. The only time he left was to go pick up his daughter. And he even hesitated to do that. He ignored the calls from his child's mother because he wanted to let Talkwin see that nothing was happening. But Talkwin encouraged him to go get his daughter. Randy was a dirty liar, because not only was Randy still in a relationship with Sandy, but he was also entertaining and sleeping with his daughter's mother. You see, Randy thought he had it all figured out. He thought that this little love square would just be the perfect thing for him, that he could manipulate and pull the strings and play with minds and hearts and do all that he wanted to do with all of these women. Because Talkwin was easy. She was always in the home. She didn't hang out in the same places that he hung out in. So it would have been very, very hard for her to see and know certain things. But little did he know. See, Talkwin was almost like a natural born private investigator. Talkwin always knew. Talkwin's intuition was loud. It spoke. It told her things that nobody should know. It always led her in the areas where Randy was. And Randy was about to be in for a ride. Randy and Talkwin had been spending so much time together. Randy was insistent on proving to Talkwin that he loved her, and that nothing or no one, not even this new baby, was going to stop anything. Randy laid in bed with Talkwin all day, and if he wasn't in bed with Talkwin, he was playing video games. And Randy and Talkwin was intimate all the time. And just like that, Talkwin was now pregnant. So now Randy had 2 babies on the way. Randy had swore up and down that he was going to talk to her and try to have her abort her child. But this woman had no interest in aborting her child. And quite frankly, Talkwin did not believe that he was even going to do that. However, when Talkwin got pregnant, Randy was very excited. Randy even took the pregnancy notification letter and threw it in the air while doing a happy dance and prancing around and hugging and kissing Talkwin. Things looked promising to Talkwin. She thought maybe this could work. Maybe he could take care of his new child, his current child, and her baby that she had on the way. Maybe he did just love Talkwin. Talkwin had always been Randy's dream girl. In fact, Talkwin was kind of the dream girl of a lot of men in the hood. And Randy was so happy to be with Talkwin. Randy's mother was happy that he was with Talkwin. Randy's aunt was happy that he was with Talkwin. It just seemed like a celebration, because they all had known how long Randy had wanted to hold Talkwin in his arms, how long Randy had wanted Talkwin to be the love of his life. And finally, not only were they together, but they were starting a family. And so Randy decided to start acting like an idiot. He would disappear a little bit more, just be a little bit more distant, and then just show up hours later. Talkwin's suspicions grew. They grew. She didn't know if she should bash Randy's head in the wall or just be patient. Just wait to see what was happening. Randy kept all of a sudden, Randy's baby's mother of his child that was living, Beulah, decided to contact Randy a little bit more these days. It's almost as if she knew that he had babies on the way. She was jealous. She suspected that he had a girlfriend. It had been rumored that Randy was dating the beautiful girl, Talkwin. And while Beulah may not have known who Talkwin was, she was intimidated by Talkwin's presence. Even without laying eyes on Talkwin, she had heard about Talkwin. She was intimidated by Talkwin. So she started to call Randy all the time, back to back to back to back to back. Every day, their daughter needed this, she needed that, she would just call Randy all the time, even for unnecessary things that she didn't need for Randy to do. She always wanted Randy by her side, always wanted Randy to be doing every single thing. It was almost as if she had no capability of doing anything, even going to the store to buy wipes. She needed him to do that. And it was causing an interference in the relationship, because it was coming off as if he had no time for the relationship. and his new girl and baby on the way. And Talkwin complained about it. And Talkwin even got angry and said, you know what, maybe you should go be with your daughter's mom, since you have to run to her every beck and call. And Randy said, you know what, maybe I would. Maybe I will. And Talkwin thought he was just being sarcastic. But Randy decided that he was going to go and start messing around with his daughter's mother. He decided that he was going to go off for a late night creep with Beulah. But Talkwin knew that something was wrong. He disappeared, phone turned off. It just screamed, I'm with my baby's mother. Talkwin, remember how I said that Talkwin just had a really high intuition? A very, very connected spirit. A very wise and all-knowing almost spirit. Talkwin remembered and studied a lot of things about Randy. The way it sounded when he walked. The way he did things, the way he thought. She studied Randy very hard. So it didn't take long for Talkwin to realize that Randy was a man of familiarity. He always stuck with the things that he was familiar with, the safe spaces. He never ventured out. It was always things that he was familiar with. So Talkwin remembered that Randy's mother had stayed at a hotel for a period of time because a car had came crashing into her house. And she needed a place to stay. So the community that she lived in put her in a hotel. I wonder who crashed the car in her home. And so while she stayed in this hotel, it was a place of familiarity for Randy. So Talkwin drives on down to this hotel because she just felt it in her spirit. Randy would be there, and Randy would be with a woman. Talkwin goes, and just like that, she pulls up. Randy's car is in the parking lot. She doesn't know what room he's in. She goes to the hotel. She asks, what room is this person in? But they weren't willing to tell, and Talkwin didn't have the dough to cough up and pay him off. You know, like how they do in the movies. So Talkwin, being the danger that Talkwin is, Talkwin decides to go and beat down every door on the hotel. Because once Talkwin had her mind made up, it was no stopping Talkwin. Talkwin was going to catch Randy in the act. Even if Talkwin had to kick the door in herself, she was going to catch Randy, and she was going to make Randy pay. Talkwin knocked on all of the doors, and many of the people told her that Randy wasn't there. Many of the doors never opened, and eventually the hotel management came out and asked, were you knocking on everybody's door trying to find this person? Yes, I am, said Talkwin. Ma'am, you can't do that, said the hotel manager. If you don't leave, I'm going to have to call the police. He looks over on Talkwin's vehicle and sees that she has a military badge on her vehicle. Are you in the military? I'm connected, said Talkwin. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm not going to call the police on you, said the hotel manager. But please, no more disturbances. Talkwin felt like an honorable queen at the moment. And so Talkwin decided that she would leave, but she wasn't really going very far. Talkwin decided that she was going to go across the street at another hotel parking lot. And then the police pulled up. So Talkwin was pretty confused on if the hotel manager said that he wasn't going to call the police, why was the police there? So Talkwin was very wise. Talkwin knew exactly how to maneuver herself because Talkwin was connected to a lot of criminals. Talkwin knew a lot of criminals. Talkwin was raised by criminals. Talkwin was always around criminals. So Talkwin knew to lay low. Talkwin left the hotel parking lot and went over to the Whole Foods parking garage and hid there for a while until the police left. And as soon as the police left, Talkwin was right back in action. Talkwin went to the other hotel parking lot where she could still see the rooms. She parked right around the area where Randy's truck was, so that as soon as Randy came out, Talkwin would come out and strike. Talkwin was ready. Talkwin had everything she needed. Talkwin was ready for war. Unfortunately, Randy never came out. Randy didn't come out till hours. Talkwin knew that the hotel checkout was 11 o'clock. But Randy came out around 7 or 8 because Randy had to take Beulah to work. When Randy came out, Talkwin immediately ran out of the car. And when she saw the individual that Randy came out of that hotel with, she was in shock. You see, the person was quite hideous. They had a high top fade, for God's sake. So Talkwin was convinced that Randy was a homo. Talkwin was convinced that Randy had laid up all night with a man, and instead of being mad, she thought it was hilarious and wanted to vomit. However, as she approached closer, she realized that Randy had been with his baby mother, Beulah, who looked like a man. Talkwin jumped out and said, "You stupid bee. You laying up with this woman and you know what I got going on?" Referring to her pregnancy. He jumped in the car and tried to pull off. Talkwin picked up a glass bottle and launched it at the car. Randy stopped in the middle of the street as if he wanted to do something, but Talkwin had that work. So anything Randy was coming to do, she was prepared. And not only was Randy going to get taken down, so was Beulah. But after Randy stopped in the street, he decided not to exit the car and he pulled off. Talkwin chased him off the road. Randy ran for his life. He jumped on the highway and disappeared. Talkwin chased. She looked. She even knew where Beulah worked. She went to Beulah's job. Didn't see him there dropping her off. Didn't see him at his mother's house. Didn't see him anywhere. You see, Randy thought he had it all figured out. But Talkwin wasn't letting go so easy. Because nobody plays with Talkwin. And I mean nobody. Randy goes on a hiding spree. Randy goes on a hiding spree for about a week. Talkwin hadn't seen him, heard from him, or anything in a week. They lived in the same area. How could Randy hide so well? But Randy hid, and Randy hid very well. Day 7, Talkwin decides to ride around and look for Randy. Randy was found at his daughter's mother's house. Talkwin didn't want to go as far as knocking on the door. But Talkwin said, "You know what? I want to terminate this baby, and Randy's going to give me the darn money for it." So, being as though Randy wasn't taking Talkwin's calls, or Randy's phone even appeared to be disconnected, Talkwin decided to write a note and tell him to call her immediately because she would like the money for the abortion. And as soon as Talkwin wrote the note and looked up, look who was on the front porch of the home. If it wasn't the fabulous Beulah came out and said, "Oh, you're looking for me?" "No, I'm looking for Randy," replied Talkwin. "Oh, well, he's asleep," said Beulah. Talkwin replied, "Oh, that's cool. I'll take care of it." And Beulah begins to approach. The two women begin to exchange words. "Why are you here? You need to leave," says Beulah. Talkwin says, "I'm everywhere I want to be. I'll go anywhere I want to go. And anywhere I see this dude at, I'm pulling up." "Oh, but you need to keep that to wherever he is. Go take that to his mom's house or wherever you see him at, but you can't come here with that." Again, I'm going wherever I need to go, and wherever this dude is at, I'm pulling up. She begins to tell Talkwin, oh, he told me that you're basically just following him around and he doesn't really know what's going on. You're just following him around. Oh, well, I see that he's trying to be more honest like I told him, says Talkwin. You didn't teach him anything, says Beulah. And did he tell you that I was pregnant? Replied Talkwin. Pregnant? You claim you have a baby in your stomach by him? What? Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. I don't want to be that connected to him, said Talkwin. I'm actually just here to get my abortion money and move on with my life. I'll leave that to y'all. Beulah looked ashamed. She hung her head because she knew that he was garbage. And it was nothing she could say to defend that. Talkwin got out of the car, walked past Beulah and put the note on the windshield and walked back to her car. And as she was pulling off, Beulah yelled, "Don't come here anymore." And Talkwin fanned her off and pulled off because Talkwin was going to go wherever she needed to go and approach whoever she needed to approach. And there was nothing anyone would be able to do about it. Randy was going to give her the money for that abortion, or she was going to make his life a living hell. You see, Talkwin could be quite evil. The spirit of war always raged through Talkwin. She was not to be played with, and some people had to learn that the hard way. Talkwin waited for about 2 weeks before dirty, rotten teeth, rotten foot Randy showed up with some money. The abortion was $397, and Randy showed up with $150. He claimed he would come back with the rest and never showed up. He started to duck Talkwin again, avoid Talkwin again. And it was because he didn't want to pay up the rest of the money because he was against the abortion. He only gave her the money because he knew that would keep her quiet for a while. But he went back into his hiding spree, his dodging spree. And then he left for yet another work trip, leaving Talkwin with only half the money, not knowing where she would get the rest, not knowing if this was the right thing to do. Talkwin scheduled the abortion. She figured she'd try to figure out a way to get the rest. Somebody had told her about a clinic that would use her insurance to pay for it. So Talkwin goes and schedules this appointment. And on the day of Talkwin's abortion, Randy had came back from out of town. And he was supposed to take Talkwin to have the abortion because you can't have an abortion on your own. You have to have someone else with you. On the day of the abortion, Randy disappeared again. Hours later, his mother called her. "Oh, Randy asked me to take you to your appointment." The appointment was about an hour away. And when Talkwin told Randy's mother where the appointment was, she said, "Oh no, I can't take you that far." Talkwin was quite confused on why Randy would want his mother to take Talkwin for her abortion. You see, Randy was quite stupid. He didn't think anything through. He didn't think that there needed to be some privacy in such a time as that. He didn't think that it was something that he needed to be present for. He pawned her off on his mother. With his mother now refusing to take her to such distance, Talkwin had to call a friend. Talkwin's friend's car wasn't working. Talkwin didn't know what to do, so she rescheduled the appointment to another day. When the next appointment came, Talkwin yet again had issues. No one to take her, no one to go with her. So Talkwin decided that she would just keep the baby. It seemed that this must have been a sign. That if every time she tried to abort this baby and it didn't work out, that she should keep it. Especially since she wasn't really sure that she really wanted to do the termination. Talkwin knew that terminations were wrong, but Talkwin just wanted to save her life from the misery that she knew that she was about to be going through. But Talkwin kept the baby, and her life of turmoil was only just beginning.